Boy, does it feel good to hear that sound in my ears. I'm Splash, your Jack. Welcome back to the Sports Desk. I think it's episode 93, but who's
Run
counting?
it back. Run it back. Let's go, baby. Episode
We're the
94,
Kansas
I
City
believe.
Chiefs. We are, in fact, running it back after a solid, I'll call it 2 years. It wasn't quite 2 years. We'll say 2 years. A 2-year
It felt like
hiatus.
2 years for sure. It really did feel like 2 years, but
It really did. We missed a lot. We will cover some of that, which we missed, in a few minutes. But Jack, for the first time in quite a long time, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's so awesome to finally get this going again. You're the one that has the blank background for once. That's something we traded since we last recorded this, but yeah, here we are. I don't know. I guess something just kind of snapped. I was thinking, you know what? If you can make it work, I can make it work. So let's just run it back and see where we can take it. So
here we
I'm looking forward
are,
to it.
the year of our Lord 2024. We got two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Jack's favorite player retired. We will, I'm sure, discuss that. The baseball season is going on. The football season starts tomorrow. My beloved Ravens facing off in Kansas City against the Chiefs. AFC Championship rematch. Can't believe I'm saying those words together.
What a weird
time.
time.
The background music. What a time to be alive.
What a weird time to be alive.
Florida State is 0-2.
Oh my God, yeah. College football's been going crazy as of late.
Crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff. But Jack, if we want to get into it, what is the number one thing we missed in our 2-year hiatus?
Yeah, let's go ahead and segue that into our first segment. We got the top 10. We're going to run back the top 10 right away because we've been gone for a hot minute, in case you guys haven't noticed. So there were some diehards that we've had, so they've certainly seen a lot come and go in the sports world. And it's not that we haven't missed it, it's just, or that we have missed it, it's just we haven't been able to do a show for God knows how long. So, yeah. If we're going to go from one, I did mine backwards. I went from 10 to 1, 10 being my
Fair. Yeah. I did 1 to 10, but
fair enough. Okay. So if you want me to start from number 10 or number 1, I'm going to go with my boy Shohei Ohtani becoming a Los Angeles Dodger. I mean, oh my God. I can't believe I haven't gotten to geek out about that on camera yet. Like, Jesus Christ. This guy is generational. I don't know. I'm out of words to describe what I've seen from him this season alone. And you almost forget that he's rehabbing from Tommy John. He's playing out of his mind as a designated hitter. He's base running well enough to get to a 40-40 season, and he's flirting with 50-50. I mean, it's insane what he's doing while rehabbing, and it's like the fact that we have him in LA for the next, not that he wasn't in, well, I guess he was in Anaheim, but you know, the fact that we have him here as a Dodger in LA for the next 10 years is mind-boggling. I can't wait to see what he does when he's pitching too.
I think this is a great opportunity for Shohei, that he had stolen bases in the past. He stole 26 bags in 1 year, but he's just taken another step forward this year with his efficiency. He's over 90%. He's just steal after steal after steal. He's second in the majors behind Elly De La Cruz. He's not going to catch Elly because Elly is like 1 of 1, but he's leading the National League in home runs. He's tied for second in RBI. He's top 10 in batting average. He's number 1 in OPS. He's number 1 in OPS plus. He's going to win, in all likelihood, going to win the MVP. Second in steals, like I said, behind Elly. Just exceptional player, and he's not even pitching this season. So next year, I think you can scale back the stolen bases, but he's going to be pitching. So it doesn't matter that he's only going to maybe steal 15 or 20 bags. He's going to be pitching. So I will take that trade-off if I were a Dodgers fan.
I always forget that he's a pitcher. I really do. And it's like, that's what he's done for his whole career pretty much. And now we're going to get to see playoff Shohei Ohtani too, which is going to be hype. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, one thing I don't know if either of us mentioned it in our pre-show, but we missed the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, that's true. We did.
The biggest moment of Shohei's career to this point is striking out his teammate at the time, Mike Trout, to win the World Baseball Classic. So I didn't have that mentioned. I would imagine you didn't, because we didn't.
No, I didn't think of that at all. I was struggling to come up with some stuff here, so some of this stuff might not be worth putting it on here compared to the World Baseball Classic. But
World Baseball Classic, by the way, A+, even though it was a year and a half ago now.
Yeah. Well, we've been gone for 2 years essentially, so we've missed a lot. So
yes, this is true. But one thing that we could have been gone for 80 years, and we still would have missed it, The Chicago Bears have a franchise quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. Caleb Williams will be their week 1 starter on Sunday. I know it's his first NFL start. I do not care. He is already the best quarterback the Bears have had since the 40s. Sorry, Jay Cutler. Sorry that 1 year Mitchell Trubisky had, Pro Bowl Mitch Trubisky. Sorry to Rex Grossman, Kyle Orton. Sorry, Jim McMahon, Jim Harbaugh. I'm sorry. Caleb Williams is the best quarterback the Bears have had since the 1940s. So we live in a time that the Chicago Bears have a franchise quarterback. He quite literally could have a bust of a season and still break every Bears rookie quarterback record. He could be an average NFL quarterback, and he would be the best thing they've had in 45, 50, 60, 80 years. So we live in a time.
You have to take the preseason for what it's worth, but I'm pretty convinced at this point that this guy can ball. And I mean, we saw it throughout college. We saw it like everything go down the way it did, and it's going to be. I'm a little bit worried about facing the Bears in Week 4. So it feels like
that's an exciting matchup. That could be a playoff preview.
That could be, yeah. I remember a few like 2018 when like the Bears and Rams were supposedly a playoff matchup, and that never happened. But both teams do look like they're building around some younger guys again. So that's why you draft a guy first overall, though. You want him to be your franchise guy. So
and what a trade to get the DJ Moore. You get an extra first round pick. So you not only do you have Caleb Williams, unlike a lot of teams that we can talk about, the Carolina Panthers, unlike a lot of teams that get the number 1 overall pick, they have the supporting cast that can lead to a very successful tenure early on. You signed Keenan Allen, you traded for DJ Moore last year, and in that trade, you also got the pick that got you Rome Odunze. Or I guess that was the original Bears pick. They got the number 1 pick from Carolina, but point stands. You get a trade, you get Caleb Williams, you get Rome Odunze, you get Keenan Allen, you get DJ Moore, you have a good tight end, your offensive line is better than people give it credit for. And that defense, when Montez Sweat came over from Washington last year,
oh my God,
they were lights out. They were really, really awesome for like 8 weeks at the end of the season. And it's an exciting time to be a Bears fan. Not an exciting time to be a White Sox fan, but a Bears fan, yes.
Yeah, you got something going for you in Chicago. So there you go. All
right, what's your number 2 there, Jack?
I got the 2024 Paris Olympics at my number 2 because a lot went down and the U.S. basically dominated. Like they tied Japan it was China for the overall lead in gold medals. And then they, in terms of like the overall count of medals, when you go gold, silver, bronze, all combined, the U.S. was ahead by like 20 or something. So they obviously put on a show. I loved probably the moment that's going to stick with me the most is watching Steph Curry just go ice cold from 3 in a good way for like the whole 4th quarter, basically in the gold medal game against France. And I mean, it was a really good crowd. It was really fun to see all that go down. It wasn't, I didn't want to see the US as a fan. I obviously would have loved for that game to be as stress-free as possible. But at the end of the day, as a basketball fan, I don't think you could have enjoyed that game more. Both teams started out hot. Both teams came in, there was a war from 3-point land. So it was really good to watch. It was fun to watch the U.S. come out on top. I think LeBron actually got postered in that game too. So
that was AI generated. My takeaway for that one, Noah Eagle, absolute ship off the old block. He's going to be incredible very, very soon on your television sets.
Yeah, the NBA got a deal with NBC. We're getting the classic NBC theme back too. And I feel like if they did that, if they make Noah Eagle and Dwayne Wade the number 1 guys, that would be fun to listen to. That would be really fun to listen to.
There you go. And I know like you get the nepotism line. Noah Eagle is really darn good at his job.
He is. He really is. It's like people are going to say that's nepotism, but like he's good at what he does. Like it doesn't matter if he's good at the job, then why complain?
Exactly. Like I'm not saying he's like Barry Bonds, but like Bobby Bonds' father plays in the league. Barry Bonds' son plays in the league. That's not nepotism. Now, nepotism may be a certain Lakers draft pick. We can have that conversation. But
that's on my list, by the way.
Oh God.
We'll get to that later, though.
We will get to that one. My number 2. Speaking of 2s, Patrick Mahomes is now the GOAT, probably. He now has 3 Super Bowl rings, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Unfortunately for my beloved Ravens, he defeated them in his first road playoff game. Just insane. I know he wasn't actually particularly that good in the playoff game. The Chiefs only scored 17 points, but three-time Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes, he's well on his way to, if you want to say, he's well on his way to the Brady pace, theoretically winning 7 championships, all of the passing yards, all of the passing touchdowns. So here we are. We get
doing
to go
it all for that team.
And then we immediately get Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Baby goat, if you will, Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm personally just enjoying this happening at the expense of the 49ers, but it's kind of like, it's kind of ridiculous to think that this is what people were saying about Mahomes ever since he was I don't want to say a rookie, but like, I guess 2018 when he started, like he right away, he was like in the AFC championship. I don't think he's ever missed the AFC championship. Yeah. So it's like that alone, that track record alone is insane, despite everything that keeps happening with the Chiefs every year. Tyreek Hill's gone, or so many other pieces gone in the offseason.
We'll see this year. He's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter what happens though with this team. Like Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, they're able to find a way. And I think that's kind of like the qualities of a dynasty team, is that they don't always have to have like the #1 record. They don't always have to look like the best team on paper. When they can find a way to win games when it really matters, that's just what takes you to another level in this league. So it's Absolutely. Crazy to think about it and how far they've come along. So
yeah, because this was a team that when I started as a football fan, they had a long playoff drought. They were not winning playoff games. Then they get the 30-0 shutout against Houston within the Alex Smith era, and it's heading into 2018, you have the one weird playoff game. It's a horrible Texans team, horrible for playoff standards, horrible playoff Texans team. You return the opening kickoff. That's never much of a game, but they were chokers. They went into Indianapolis, blew a 30-point lead. You have the famous Marcus Mariota touchdown to himself game. You had a game against the Steelers. You lost without allowing a touchdown. How do you do that?
I don't understand how that ever happens.
Figured out how to do it. And then you get Patrick Mahomes, falls into your lap. Good job, Bears, with the number 10 pick. And now you've won 3 Super Bowls. And went to a 4th.
Yeah, I mean, I predict them going to a 4th this year, but I guess
I hope not.
I hope not either. But
5th. Because they've won 3 and they lost.
It would be a 5th. Yeah, you're right. They lost to the Buccaneers, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, yeah, I hope it doesn't happen. But at this rate, I can't think of another AFC team that has proven that they can shut Mahomes down in the clutch in the playoffs. So we'll see. Yeah, I wish it was Baltimore last year.
I wish. Oh boy, do I wish it was Baltimore last year. Like you can go Cincinnati, but Cincinnati needed Mahomes to be garbage for a half to win the one game. So it's like if you're taking Kansas City or the field, it's tough to not take Kansas City, even as low odds that might seem. Just you have the inevitable number 15, Kermit. Yep. Hey, what's your number 3 there, pal?
Fittingly, my number 3 is going to be an incident that happened a few years back with Mr. Damar Hamlin. That was kind of a story that sort of shook the sports world when he suffered, I believe it was cardiac arrest in the middle of a game on Monday night against between the Bills and the Bengals. And Damar has since gone on to be named a starter for the Bills this year. So it's kind of crazy to think about how that whole story went down. And it's just one of those things that like makes the football world unite. It's it's just one of those things where it's like he found a way to pull through, and everybody's really happy that he's okay. Everybody's really happy that he's doing well, and it's quite a redemption story that he's stuck with it, and now he's back to being in a starting role for a Buffalo Bills team that I won't say they'll definitively win the AFC East this year because they got a lot worse this offseason, but seeing Damar finally get like a full starting chance again, I feel like he's going to be coming in with some hunger this year. So definitely a wild story to say the least, but it brought him together. Yeah, it brought the world together, the NFL world together a lot stronger. So
yeah, and you have the doctor that saved him received MVP votes.
Exactly.
And the last game he started in the NFL was that famous Bengals game. So that is great for DeMar. That is great for just the NFL as a process. That's great for all of the protocols they have in place, that you could have such a tragedy that could have been a tragedy, and just 20 months later, he is not only playing in NFL games, because he can be on the kicker coverage team, or he can play one snap and you can kind of get around it, but he is going to be starting an NFL game. So
I think my favorite part of the story was what happened in Buffalo's first home game after it occurred, when they scored a kick return touchdown on the opening kickoff. And DeMar said that he was like in the hospital, jumping out of his bed, going crazy, that like alarms went off and the doctors had to check on him to make sure he was doing okay. So that was fun to watch. The whole stadium went nuts. I don't think you'll ever hear another stadium get that loud. It was crazy.
No, that was special. That was special. So my number 3, special in a different way. The 40-40 Club, during our era, had 4 members. Jose Canseco, 1988. Barry Bonds, 1996. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez in 1998. Alfonso Soriano in 2006. Well, we've had 2 new entrants. Ronald Acuna last year, 40-70 for the Braves, en route to an MVP. And this year, Shohei Ohtani probably goes 50-50. Right now, it's 44-44, something like that.
I believe it's 44-46. I don't remember what order you go in for, but the way he's playing, he might get to 50-50.
Yeah, he will probably get to 50-50. So the 40-40 Club, we can have the conversation that maybe it's not the same as it used to be, and maybe there were players in the past, Willie Mays, that could have done both in the same season if that was going to be a thing. But Ronald Acuna went 40-70. I think that's impressive in any era, even if you like adjust stolen bases down. And Shohei Ohtani is doing it as a designated hitter. And while I don't buy that him recovering from Tommy John surgery should have any influence whatsoever on him winning or not winning the MVP, I will point out, from a human perspective, from a how is he doing this perspective, him recovering from a major pitching injury and going probably 50-50 on the as a hitter.
The fact that he is doing it. The fact that he is doing it in the first place.
It is bananas. Like, we can quibble between, would you rather have 40-70 or 50-50? Who cares? He is having an absolutely insane season.
It's really fun. I'm enjoying it. I already talked about it earlier, but yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. It's very fun to watch.
Absolutely crazy stuff. All right, what's number 4?
Number 4, we're going to go with the Florida Panthers finally winning their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. We had a banger of a Stanley Cup final earlier this year. Panthers went up 3-0 over the Edmonton Oilers. And I'm about sick to death of the Edmonton Oilers. If you guys know me, I'm a Kings fan. I've watched my team lose to them in 3 straight seasons in the playoffs, so it's been pretty brutal. But Panthers were up 3-0 in the Cup final. And then Edmonton won 3 games in a row to force Game 7. But I think the Panthers' performance in that Game 7 and the way Sergei Bobrovsky performed in the clutch, it just kind of shows you how it really is that hard. There's a reason the NHL has been around for over 100 years. And in all the hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of playoff series that have been played every single year, there have only been 4 teams in league history that have come back from a 3-0 series deficit. It is that hard to do it. It really is. And Edmonton was close, but when you have a hot goalie like Sergei Bobrovsky, and a hungry goalie too, because of all the goalies before this past season who I would have argued had yet to win a Stanley Cup that deserved it the most, easily Sergei Bobrovsky. And he made the Cup final the year prior against Vegas. So I think that Bobrovsky finally winning the Stanley Cup and Florida bringing it home was pretty fun for that team. It's pretty special to have, I guess, for the state of Florida. They've got a lot of Stanley Cup championships recently with Tampa Bay going back to back. And I think the Panthers getting it done finally. They were a fun, scrappy underdog team the season before last, but they finally crossed the finish line this year. Bobrovsky got revenge, and
there you go. And world famous Conn Smythe Trophy winner Connor McDavid.
Exactly. We had the rare instance where a losing player in the Stanley Cup final wins the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP. It can happen. It's meant for the whole playoffs, not just the Cup final. So, and although McDavid did play pretty well.
I do think McDavid was shut out in Game 6 and 7. So
that's another thing too. That's like kind of a bit of a different debate. Is like you could argue he deserved it when you look at the playoffs as the over the I don't know why I can't say it, the course of the playoffs as a whole. But when you get shut out in game 6 and 7, when your team needs you to be the guy and you're not getting even assists, it's kind of like not great.
That's absolutely fair. So my number 4, I have a couple sporting events that I attended. I didn't attend this, but I watched an F1 race. Jack has the Twitter receipts. I watched an F1 race down in Miami. Good stuff. Maybe not my thing, but I watched one. So
that's the first step. Honestly, just watching it is the first step.
Yes. Number 2, I went to a Ravens playoff game. I did go to the one they won. They did beat the Houston Texans. Lamar Jackson, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Greatness.
That's always fun.
Number 3, I went to South Carolina on my own dime to go see a minor league baseball game. The Rome Emperors versus the Greenville Drive. The Greenville Drive, unfortunately, did win the game, but I got to eat a mac and cheese hot dog. So,
oh my god, that's something that I would try. Mac and cheese hot dog. That sounds pretty good.
It was great. I love mac and cheese. That should not be new. It might be new because I like mac and cheese, but mac and cheese is pretty great.
Can't complain. I prefer shells and cheese, but mac and cheese is not bad at all.
Ooh, I consider them one and the same.
They're basically the same. They're just
if it's noodles and cheese, I will just call it mac and cheese.
Okay, what are we at? Number 5?
Yes, number 5.
Okay, my number 5 is actually a pretty significant one. The man who we reference in our outro all the time, Mr. Aaron Donald, finally called it a career. Bit of an odd time to do it. He did so after the Rams lost to the Detroit Lions in the playoffs last year. Kind of felt like it was like a little bit of unfinished business, but I guess Aaron Donald thinks that he's done enough over the course of his career. He told Sean McVay after the game, he said, "I'm full." And honestly, I kind of don't blame him. The Super Bowl ring was kind of all he was missing throughout his career, and he got that done a few years back. And I mean, yeah, he's just, I don't know what to say other than greatest defensive player of all time. I'm sure you could come up with an argument or two, Splash, but I'm pretty sure that
he's in the team. That's the important thing. When you're building the all-time team, Aaron Donald is in the all-time team. Is he number 1? I don't know. That's a conversation we can have on another show, but he's in that team. I do have a question before we move on. Is there a city with a better Mount Rushmore of players, one from each of the big 4 sports, than Los Angeles? Aaron Donald for football. You can go Kobe, you can go Magic Johnson, you can go LeBron, you can go Kareem.
So many options for the Lakers.
Basketball. You can go with Clayton Kershaw for baseball, and you can go with Wayne Gretzky for hockey. Is there a better foursome?
I don't think so. I think you can make an argument. Like
Chicago's an argument, I think.
Bring up Chicago. You can maybe bring up New York. New York's
Boston,
not a lot of teams.
I think, has an argument.
Boston for sure too. They've got an argument too. But it's tough. It's really just because how big the market is in LA. So.
That's true. That's true too. We didn't consider like the secondary teams in the market. I would consider the Chargers and Angels and.
But I mean, the Chargers have only been here for what, like.
That's true. They didn't start in LA, unlike the Rams, but
they started in LA and then they left after like a year or two. So
that's a good point. The Angels have been in the LA area for 60 years, but
Mike Trout.
I guess you could have the argument Trout over Kershaw. Kershaw has the ring. Trout has 1 hit in the playoffs. I guess you could just go Ohtani and
I was gonna say Ohtani. Like if Ohtani finds success, wins a ring with that team, then I guess you can with the Dodgers. I mean, by that team, then you can kind of put him in for both. So.
Yeah, that's a fair answer.
But yeah, Aaron Donald will certainly be missed, and we will continue. I think we'll continue to say that he trains with knives because that did happen, and that's just become our thing at this point. So I'm gonna miss watching him tear up defenses every week. But yeah,
absolutely. My number 5. Felix Hernandez, move over, pal. Domingo Germán threw a perfect game against the A's last season. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I thought we were going to see some no-hitters. We have seen some no-hitters. Earlier this season, Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter. Blake Snell threw a no-hitter. And there's another pitcher that I'm totally blanking on that threw a no-hitter.
Kershaw was mid-no-hitter not no-hitter. He was mid-perfect game last season, and Dave Roberts pulled him.
That was still strange, but regardless.
Or was that last year or the year before? I think
it was 2 years ago. I think we covered it on the show, actually. I think
we did talk about it on the show.
We cut it up and we had a show. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
In Minnesota, like 2022?
Anyway.
Yeah. Domingo
perfect game
Germán,
happened.
perfect game. Unfortunately, was not one of the games I covered. One of my interim jobs, I ran the Twitter account for some games for Pinstripes Nation on Twitter. Give them a follow. Unfortunately, I did a different game of the series, so I was not live tweeting a perfect game, but Domingo Germán, perfect game.
That's pretty notable. Perfect games don't come along very often. So.
No, first one since 2012.
Okay.
All right, number six, Jack.
We're going to stay within the baseball realm here. I'm going to go at the Texas Rangers winning the World Series. That was just fun, honestly. I as upset as I was over the Dodgers losing that year, as they tend to always do in the division series, I guess. Yeah, no, I remember having a lot of fun watching like the final few series, like the championship series and the World Series that year. I think, again, expense of a hatred team there because I don't like the Astros at all. So watching them lose was worth it. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool to see. I guess I was rooting for the Rangers too because they played the Diamondbacks that year in the World Series. So how about the Diamondbacks making it to a World Series too?
Yeah, it was wild. And now they're both better and worse. They have no pitching, but they have the best offense in baseball, statistically at least.
A few days ago, I watched Corbin Carroll hit an inside the Parker against the Dodgers. So
he's been unreal. Like
how good he is.
So on the baseball podcast I do, Alex and I had like some pre-show. Maybe we were waiting for Mac or just like kind of building out what our schedule was going to be that day. And I said, I'm out on Corbin Carroll. Like I don't know. I think he doesn't have the power to be like a plus player. I think he can still be a good player, the defense and the speed. He's been unreal for 2 months since I said that. As soon as I said that, he's been on a tear. He's been a top 10 player in baseball, perhaps. Top 10 position player in baseball, perhaps. Just absolutely insane what he's putting together. And Arizona's been on a roll. The best 3 teams in baseball the last 60 games. It's like Arizona, San Diego, and LA. They all happen to be in the same division. Crazy. Yeah,
stuff. It's been a trip keeping up with the standings and watching them either get closer or further. The Dodgers lead in the division is back up to like I think 5 or 6 games. It was down to 2, so it got really tight. But I think they've kind of played a lot better as of late, and they've gotten healthier too, which obviously helps a lot. So
yeah, the offense is rolling right now.
Michael Kopech too, by the way, awesome closer. Really glad we picked him up.
Cubs, why didn't you make the move? I don't know. My number 6, Tom Brady retired and stayed retired.
He did.
Yeah, he stayed retired. He did not play a down in 2023. In fact, the Bucks made the playoffs and had a better record and made it farther in the playoffs without Tom Brady.
Shout out to Baker Mayfield. Revived his career with like half a season with the Rams, and then he goes to Tampa and he proves, he's a legit starter for this team.
Yeah. And so we will be watching Baker Mayfield. Baker touchdown maker. Mike Evans looking for his 11th straight 1,000-yard season. Chris Godwin, Kate Otten, Antoine Winfield. So that's a fun team.
Decent team in Tampa Bay. I had always told you that I would not believe that Tom Brady was retired until the season started and he was not in the field week 1. And that finally happened. And it was a little scary. I'm not going to lie, to see that go down in week 1. He's not playing, but we'll hear him in the broadcast booth for Fox this year. So it's not like he'll be gone. So
Bill Belichick is doing sports media. He's on Instagram now, by the way.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, that was fun though.
I could listen to Bill Belichick talk about football every second for the rest of my life, and I would be happy.
Yeah, he's a good listen on TV. I've been watching a lot more of the Pat McAfee shows of late, and him making a weekly appearance there every Monday now is going to be fun. So,
all right, your number 7, sir.
I mentioned earlier I was going to get to the Lakers drafting Bronny, and this is where it's at for me, number 7. To be fair, the only reason this is on the list is because of the spectacle of the father-son. I don't even know when I've seen that last, but that's it doesn't happen very often in sports, so it's something that I'm trying to, right? Yeah, probably the Griffeys is my guess. So
I just want to see Bronny lob to LeBron. That's it. Like, do I think LeBron James Jr. is an NBA caliber player? I don't know. I give him some benefit of the doubt because he had the heart issues at USC. So there are people that say like he's just straight up not an NBA player. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not saying he's going to be a star. I'm not saying he's going to be like a role player, but I think it's okay to take a shot on him in the middle of the second or near the end of the second round. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Yeah. And it could wind up he ends up getting time in the G League too. So you never know. We'll see how it pans out. But I think playing with LeBron will certainly help his game. So, and he also, by the way, said that he can't call LeBron dad. Or I think LeBron was the one who said he can't call him dad. Like he has to call him like Braun or something or whatever. So yeah, imagine like you're in the middle of an NBA game and you're yelling, "Dad, I'm open" or something like that.
he's gonna accidentally happen though. Once.
You never get to see that kind of thing in sports. So the fact that we're gonna get it for at least a year is pretty cool. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I did think for a while LeBron could retire and take a year off and then come back and play with LeBron or Bronny wherever he landed. But he kept playing. He got over 40,000 points, and here we are. That is so cool. And when Bronny was conceived, LeBron was averaging 25 points per game. And now Bronny is in the NBA and LeBron is still averaging 25 points per game. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Well, I got a fantasy draft starting, but what's your number 7?
Oh boy, number 7. A different NBA player, a different transcendent NBA player. Victor Wembanyama is here. He is an alien. He is breaking the laws of physics. He is breaking the laws of basketball. He is doing crazy things. There are not too many more influential NBA players on an individual game. Just watching the individual game, because when you watch enough NBA, and I'm not the biggest NBA fan, you guys know that, but when you watch enough NBA, there are guys that stand out. Wembanyama stands out among guys who stand out. Like he is 7'4", and he has a handle. This is. If Kevin Durant grew 4 inches, and Kevin Durant is one of the 15 greatest players to ever lace him up, Wembanyama is even taller and is otherworldly defensively. Now, part of that is the height, but he is generational defensive. I have no qualms saying that he is generational defensively, and I think the over/under on defensive players of the year should be like 3.5.
So Connor Bedard got drafted first in the NHL, so they had like a side-by-side with Wembanyama and Bedard. And the height disparity was just ridiculous. Like Bedard's shoulders were barely up to his like forearms. It was crazy.
Have you seen the when Wemby at the NBA draft, he threw out the first pitch for the Yankees game? Did you see a baseball in his hand?
I think so. Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna take my pop filter off. It was like this.
Oh my god!
It's like insanity. So Victor Wembanyama, there aren't many players that come around and you say it would be a disappointment that he's not a Hall of Famer. He is. There is no upper bound on what Victor Wembanyama can do. Nothing. Just him. He's him. And he gets to play with Chris Paul this year. So just yes, please. All right, Jack, number 8, and you got to update us on your fantasy draft.
Yeah, well, I had the 3rd overall pick. I went ahead and took Puka Nacua because I just had to. I'm probably going to draft somebody who's higher ranked with my next pick. But anyway, number 8, we're going to go with Aaron Judge breaking the home run record. I think it was 63 home runs. Maybe
he hit 62.
62? Okay, yeah. So I was one off. But yeah, no, that's unbelievable to watch. The thing that I've always thought about baseball is that Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani is the best player. Aaron Judge is the best hitter. Yes. That's sort of how I've thought about it, because this guy can hit home runs like it's nobody's business. It's insane what he did that year. It's insane what he's doing this year. He's just never let off the gas. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that this is what he's doing in a year without, like, I don't know. This year of baseball is fun because there's never one team that's like, or one player that's like an outstanding like world beater team. It's it's crazy.
Yeah, you're pacing for the best team, 96 wins probably, and first time since 2014 there could be no 100 team or no 100 game winners. And Judge is his ability on a baseball field is not only historic, it is. I said Wembanyama was transcendental. Judge is having a peak that no other right-handed hitter in the history of baseball has had. he is having a season, at least in the last week. He's in a bit of a cold spell right now. Cold spell for Aaron Judge. He is having the best season hitting wise ever by a right-handed hitter. And if you have your 3 years together, it is the highest peak, a 3-year peak of a right-handed hitter ever. This isn't like a since Frank Thomas or since Willie Mays or since Hank Aaron or since Rogers Hornsby. This is ever. So that's the 4-letter word that I associate with Aaron Judge is ever. And he's insane. He might break the home run record again this year.
He might. He very well might.
He's been even better from like an OPS perspective. Like he's hitting for higher average. He's hitting for more doubles. The home runs are like right on the same pace, but he's walking a lot more. It's just absolutely absurd. Speaking of absurd, it's my name. Number 8 is great. Known 2-time most valuable player, Lamar Jackson, 1 vote shy of being 2-time unanimous MVP, thanks to that one writer that voted for Josh Allen. But yeah, Lamar, I made a video. I said Lamar Jackson was going to win the MVP. I didn't know how serious I was going to take it, but I tried to take it pretty seriously. I didn't know if it was going to actually happen. I just thought it was a good video topic. And then, yeah, he just goes out and wins the darn thing. So, thank you, Lamar. Now, get the Super Bowl MVP, please.
Okay, we at number 9 now?
Yes, number 9.
Okay, number 9, I'm going to go with talking about the recent antics of the U.S. men's national soccer team because they did not exactly live up to par. They got out of the group stage in the World Cup in 2022, and then they were met with a swift exit at the hands of the Netherlands, I believe. Honestly, I think the biggest weakness there was just the fact that they, it really bugged me how they I'm obsessed with this fantasy draft. Sorry. They signed a coach, hired a coach to be like their specific set piece guy. And then all of a sudden they can't score on a set piece. Like he was specifically meant to be the corner kick guy, be the set piece guy, and it just wasn't happening. And it's like, at some point you kind of got to get that whole thing figured out. But I will say that that wasn't really. I think the coaching problem kind of all fell on Greg Berhalter, and it came to light again during the CONMEBOL tournament. I'm forgetting the name. The Copa America. Yeah, the Copa America. That was ugly. That was really ugly to see. Was it Weah who took the red card in the second game?
Oh.
I mean, it was just like a useless
to remove
punch.
That from my memory.
Yeah, it was bad. It was pretty ugly, and to see like an unforced player error from one of their bigger contributors make a mistake like that basically cost them the tournament. It's kind of absurd, and it's funny because they almost won the game. There's a good voice crack right there. It's back. Funny because we're so back. That's how you know we're so back, was the voice cracks. It's funny because they almost won. They almost won the game anyway because they were scoring goals while down to 10 men. But it was at some point. It got to the point where Berhalter was kind of he was left without any major accomplishments as the team manager. The only thing they really did was beat Mexico to win the CONCACAF Nations League a few times, but Mexico isn't really in the greatest spot right now either. So, my player just got taken. Crap.
The worst.
Yeah, that is the worst. My draft. I got totally interrupted.
With your second pick, you should take known Raven Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry was also in my queue.
There you go.
I lost him. I ended up going with DK Metcalf. We'll see how he does.
My mom's favorite player, DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Anyway, where were we at? Greg Berhalter. I think at the end of the day, they made the right decision. I don't know. The confirming of their new hire hasn't been confirmed yet. I'm not saying his name because I forget how to pronounce it, but we'll see what the U.S. does going from here. I think getting a new coach was the right move. So
and this is probably enough for a longer conversation, but you're the United States. You should be better at soccer than you are. You're not bad at soccer, and I don't think this is like a China or India issue of like soccer. Soccer, of course, isn't ingrained in the culture like it is in other places in the world, which is fair, and it's the 4th most popular sport, even behind baseball, football, and basketball. And you could argue even lower than that, but I don't know. It is a bit of an abomination that the U.S. isn't better at soccer.
Yeah.
So
with how many teams play it too, I think it's just a really flawed system. Like you look at the U.S. soccer map, and it's kind of like for all different tiers, and it's kind of surprising how many teams there are that
right.
you don't really hear that much about. But we'll see.
We'll see if they which is totally fair. So my number 9, not a sports thing. I got a full-time job. I've been working 40 hours a week since February last year, so we are making a living.
Personal accomplishments for Splash. There you go.
Yeah, personal accomplishments. So
that's one of the reasons why we took such a long delay, is because we kind of had to sort of figure out our situation, because I don't know, things happened. My class started ramping up again, so we're gonna see how that goes.
Yeah, it's one thing when you have like classes and it's the same time every week for a semester at least. You can plan around that. I can say,
well, that's not how it is for me. Mine's a little bit of a different. I'm
fair.
in a vocational school, so it's a little.
That's fair.
Different.
That's fair. At least when I was in school, so long ago, 2 years ago, I graduated. Yeah, so I could say, okay, well, Jack and I record on X day. We can, I don't have to have class then. I can be off, or it can just be later in the day. And we were both for times of the year Pacific time, so we just could record like middle of the day, anyways.
Yeah, right around the same time. So.
All right, your number 10. Wrap us up.
Number 10, I changed it because my number 10 was going to be the Chiefs and their Super Bowl victories, but I decided I thought of another thing that happened recently in the sports world, and that is we lost probably one of the most, I don't want to say iconic, but definitely notable recently franchises in NHL history, when the Arizona Coyotes relocated to become the Utah Hockey Club. That is kind of a shock, because the Coyotes were definitely in limbo for a while in terms of their future in Arizona, because they wanted to get a new rink built. They were evicted from the Gila River Arena a few years back, and they were playing at Mullet Arena, which is on the side of ASU, and that's like a 5,000 seat arena, not really up to NHL standards. So it was pretty obvious that they wanted their plan under their ownership at the time was to build a new arena and to build, an entertainment district surrounding it. But the ownership, they had a bunch of their own issues, so that was a problem. And then, they ultimately just could not work out a deal in time, and the team was sold to the ownership group of the Utah Jazz. So they'll be playing in Salt Lake City, Utah, for 1 year as the Utah Hockey Club, but they're currently in the middle of a fan vote, so they will have a permanent name and identity coming soon. As for the Coyotes, their ownership group left, so the league has said that they are interested in working with other prospective owners who might want to bring the team back in the future. So Coyotes hockey might not be dead, but for right now, it's currently dormant, and the team is playing in Utah. So pretty significant relocation right there, but I think Utah has proven so far that they are excited to see hockey regularly played there again. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the hockey club has to bring.
Yeah, relocation is such a difficult thing. Like I lost my boyhood hockey team, the Thrashers. They're in Winnipeg now. And, the Flames went to Calgary. The original Winnipeg Jets, of course, went to Arizona. The Minnesota North Stars went to Dallas. You have a history of relocation in all 4 of the big sports, and it's really hard on the city. And I lived in Arizona. I never saw Coyotes stuff. They weren't exactly advertised. Even the Suns were good when I was out there. They weren't advertised. A lot of Arizonans only care about Arizona men's basketball and maybe the Diamondbacks, but like I don't want to say fair weather, but it's a bit of a more passive sports watching city, I would say. While like my other cities that I've been in or lived in or been a fan of a team in, Atlanta is a much more, at least with the Braves, Falcons and Hawks, you can go either way. Georgia football and Atlanta Braves baseball, huge, right? Like living in the DC area, people when the Commanders, when they were the Redskins, when they were good, you really cared about the R words. But now they're not great. And Dan Snyder is actually, that could have been one of them. Dan Snyder is sold his
that too. Dan Snyder
sold to
the team.
BOFA, Bank of America. That was still the funniest headline I've ever seen. So yeah, there are more ravenous fan bases than Arizona, I would say, but it does always sting to lose a team in a city. And
every single team has their diehards, no matter how big or small their fan base is.
That's
every
absolutely true.
Absolutely has their diehards. And I actually think the Coyotes fan base was pretty decently sized. They really cared about their team. They're kind of bummed out that ownership went the way it did. So, but absolutely. Yeah, that's just always the tough part of relocation is like, while you're excited to see what one market has to offer, you're disappointed because the other one is kind of like, I don't know. People are just kind of upset about how sour things went. So.
Absolutely. And fitting that you chose team moving for your number 10. I will also choose a team moving for my number 10. The Oakland A's will be heading to Sacramento next year. I am quite sad that in 2 weeks I will not be in Oakland to get a Ricky Henderson bobblehead and watch them play the Yankees in the Coliseum for the final time. So I'm bummed, but it's just heartbreaking. You see the former A's when they come back, the Mark Canha, Matt Chapman, they're picking up dirt off the infield. It's like, that is just heartbreaking. I'm not an A's fan. I've never been in the state of California, but it's heartbreaking to watch a city lose its team. And the A's, baseball is better when the A's are good. That is without a doubt true. They had legendary teams in the 90s. You had the 90 World Series champions. They did not win the World Series in 1980, or they won in 89, my bad. But you went to the World Series in 90. You went to the World Series in 1988. You have Ricky Henderson, Dennis Eckersley, Reggie Jackson. You have these great players, these great moments. Vida Blue, and you're going to a fourth city now. They were in Philly, they went to Kansas City, they go to Oakland. Now you're going to Sacramento, and their long-term home supposedly is Las Vegas. So I don't know what to make of it, but I don't know. It's sad. That's what it is. It's sad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. Shout out to the Oakland Ballers, though. They're trying to.
Yeah, big shout out to the Oakland Ballers.
They're trying to make it work. So.
All right, Jack.
All right, that was the top 10.
Yeah, that was the top 10. Been a while, so we went quite a while there. So here we are, 45 plus minutes, and I'm gonna say, can we audible and just do like some like big NFL predictions, and we can have our week one preview. Well.
Like we'll have the ticker going up.
Yeah, we have the ticker coming up. Maybe choose one game you're excited for other than the primetime games, because the primetime games are pretty solid.
Yeah, I have to ignore the Rams Lions, but oh geez, other than the primetime games, man, that's a tough one. Let me go ahead and draft George Kittle in fantasy real quick. Yes, me drafting a Niners player.
Wow,
shocking!
I can't believe that.
I can't believe Kittle was on the clock this late. I really can't. Or was on the board. Wow. I don't know. It's hard to pick one outside the primetime games, to be honest. I think the NFL kind of crushed it in terms of primetime selections. I'm going to go with Houston at Indy. I think that one's going to be a fun watch to see, because there are still some doubts, I think, about Anthony Richardson as quarterback. But at the same time, we know he can ball. We just need to see it be proven a bit more.
He's had fewer than 20 starts since he got to college football.
Exactly. So I think you're looking for a bit more consistency in that regard. But you want to see what he can do, and I think there's no better test than against this absolutely loaded Texans team that's probably going to win the division this year. So I think that's actually a pretty big banger to see what goes down in week one. Over in the good old AFC South this year. Yeah,
we are talking positively about the AFC South. That should have been one of our 10 takes. We have positive AFC South takes. I'm actually going to stick with a Southern team. It is ironically not in the AFC South. It is Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, you are Pittsburgh Steelers. Kirk Cousins, you are an Atlanta Falcon. insane.
This is how
They
much
also-
the league has changed since we
Yeah,
last.
they also
had this
drafted
show
Michael
going.
Penix that with the number 8 pick. The Falcons, in the time we were gone, got the number 8 pick twice. They drafted Bijan, which is insane. Just bananas stuff, really. But I think this is a potential. Okay, they obviously won't meet in the playoffs unless it's a Super Bowl. So excuse this phrase. Playoff preview potentially with 2 playoff-ish teams. This is like if there was like a play-in game like the NBA has, these would be 2 teams that I would anticipate in that play-in range. Pittsburgh is going to win 9 games. We know that. They've won 9 games the last 10 years. Atlanta, this is your year, bozos. This is your year. Arthur Smith is ironically Arthur Smith revenge game, by the way. Arthur Smith is now the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. Figure it out, Atlanta. The division, Tampa's fine. You have enough talent to go win the division. You just signed Justin Simmons. You just traded for Matt Judon. You have a good quarterback now. Kirk Cousins, he is off an Achilles injury, but we will gloss over that. You have a good wide receiver 1 in Drake London. You have a theoretically good tight end in Kyle Pitts. You have a dynamic running back in Bijan Robinson. You have a theoretically good offensive line. Make it happen. I've been picking you, wanting, craving so desperately to pick you in that stupid division for the last 5 years, and you don't ever win it. Please win it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty wild. But yeah, no, they've got to. We'll see. We'll go ahead and see what they can pull off this year. So
an honorable mention: Dallas at Cleveland, the Amari Cooper revenge game. That's a fun
one. That'll be an interesting one. I've been asked to predict that game a couple times, and I've gone with Cleveland based on home team, but I honestly don't know. That could go either way.
No Nick Chubb, Deshaun Watson. I don't know what did we get from Deshaun Watson. That
remains to be seen. I think
there's not many players that I think have the sway of a team that can win them the Super Bowl or be the reason they suck absolute garbage. Deshaun Watson is one of the handful of names on the list. If he's 2020 Deshaun Watson, the Browns might be the best team in the AFC. I don't know. But we have not seen good Deshaun Watson since 2020. He missed a year. He's played 12 games as Browns starter. Now, the Browns have been pretty good in those games. They went 5-1 last year in his starts, but he's not exactly the catalyst for that, if you will. So I have my concerns, but the AFC North, once again, will be a bloodbath. Last year, every team finished above 500. The Bengals went 8-3 outside of the division and finished last. So,
yeah, that division tends to be a bloodbath. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Like I said, they kind of cooked with their primetime games in week 1 as well. I think Ravens Chiefs was one of the best possible openers for the season. I know we are constantly watching Chiefs games to start the year at this rate, but
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
they cooked with that one.
Yeah,
I also Leonard Floyd has the chance to do the funniest thing ever Monday night against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Listen, we went through the whole Jets thing last year, and it was very unfortunate for everyone watching that Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and the Jets were horrendous offensively for the entire season. So, folks, Aaron Rodgers, can you be healthy, please?
For football, I was upset. As a football fan, I was very upset about that going down. I really wanted to see what he could do, what a healthy Aaron Rodgers could do with the Jets. It really felt like they had a legit shot there to make a little bit of noise. I'm not going to say necessarily win the division outright, but you never know. Something just got knocked over in the background.
Been there.
But yeah, no, that's sort of where things are at in regards with the Jets. Is can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy? And if so, we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we can do is we can throw up maybe a playoff prediction. We'll post that on socials. We didn't really preview that, but maybe we can post that up on socials or have a weekly picks graphic we can do. But
yeah, that can be fun.
I am excited to see the Ravens. I have some concerns on the offensive line. You lose 3 starters, both guards and your right tackle. Morgan Moses is back in New York, with Jets, by the way. So I don't know. Patrick Queen, you're in Pittsburgh and you're firing off some of the worst takes I've ever seen. So, okay.
Amongst all the things that have happened with the Rams this offseason, I'm excited to see them get the revenge game right out of the gate against Detroit. I go back and forth as to whether or not they should have won that game. Obviously, if you look at the final play, the pass interference that should have been called against Puka Nacua, yes, they should have won that. But at the same time, the Rams were 0-3 in the red zone. So not necessarily the greatest look. I just think that the officiating was too bad that you can't really overlook the poor performance in the red zone in the first place. So at the end of the day, it was a 1-point loss. It probably should have been a 2-point win. I don't know. You never know, but I know that the Rams have been definitely, there are a lot of players on there who are going to want revenge. And I mean, you got this hungry team, this young team wanting to prove themselves that they can be dangerous. They can win the division, which I think they will.
Spice.
I mean, yeah, a little bit of spice there, but we'll see what goes on. I think the Niners they've got a lot of drama on their hands as of late. And I know it's sort of out the window now. They've got all their guys back, but that's for now. And I think that for the future, there's going to be some salary cap issues for them to work through. So I just wonder how much of it will still be on their brains. And I don't know. I really don't know. We're going to have to see what they do.
So on the subject of the Niners, first up, prayers up to Ricky Pearsall. Just a horrible situation that's unfolded the last few days, getting shot. Just horrible. And also, rest in peace to Johnny Gaudreau, Mr. Hockey.
Absolutely.
Johnny Hockey. That was just horrible is not even the right word for it. It's just heartbreaking. So
absolutely heartbreaking.
Prayers up to the Gaudreau family. Prayers up to Ricky Pearsall. Hopefully he recovers here soon and makes his NFL debut this season. So.
They said that that's the intent, so we'll see if it does happen. And I as much as I don't like the 49ers franchise, obviously that kind of stuff comes way before football. So it's good to see that.
Will he come out to many men?
That'd be cool.
A la Brian Robinson.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if he did.
So hopefully he recovers soon, gets out on the field with Ayuk and Debo and Kittle and a fun team there in San Francisco. I know you want to see them go 0-17. Actually, is there any situation you would root for the 49ers?
If it would help the Rams, then yes.
Okay.
Because there were some situations that I remember watching, like the Niners-Seahawks game a few years back in like 2019, and the Niners winning that game to go to 9-0 or to 10-0 or whatever it was would have helped the Rams because the Seahawks were right in the Rams' way. So in that situation, I was rooting for San Francisco. So if something like that crops up again, then as much as it pains me to do so, especially if it's against another division rival, then I guess I can accept it. Anything that helps my team long term is kind of all I care about. So
fair. Totally fair. All right. I want 2 predictions from you. First, who usurps Lamar Jackson as the most valuable player in football?
Oh boy. I mean, the easy low-hanging fruit answer is Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking about someone outside those two.
I can pull up the odds from FanDuel real quick.
Do that. I'm on the clock right now in fantasy. Actually.
Ooh, all right. Who's on your board?
I'm looking at tight ends. I don't have very many tight ends right now.
You have George Kittle,
but
if I recall.
Yeah, I think I'm either going to take David Njoku or Dallas Goedert. They're the 2 highest on the board right now, so I think I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Goddard because
I bet MVP.
Kittle's not playing that week, so I'm basically drafting around the bye week at this point.
That's weird.
The bias in me also suggests that Stafford might do it, but we'll see. The NFL awards don't really like to show him much respect. So,
Jared Verse is 12,000 plus 12,000 to lead the NFL in sacks.
Interesting. Interesting. I will say that was a slam dunk draft for the Rams this past offseason. So
I can't say I looked at the draft very hard for any team.
I didn't like stare at it that hard, but I think the Rams pretty much did what they had to do, and Les Snead is always very good at finding those day 3 talents. So
that's true. So, most valuable player in the National Football League. It's hard to not go Mahomes, like you said. I feel like this is the year Josh Allen does it. Like at some point, right? He's going to win an MVP. I think this is the year. And in terms of winning the Super Bowl, move over Joe Montana. You have a new buddy. Move over Montana, and Terry Bradshaw for that matter. 4 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, welcome to the club. So
yeah, it's a tough prediction to pick anyone else in the AFC, like we talked about, but that's just how good the Chiefs are. That's how clutch the Chiefs are, I guess we'll say. Because like I mentioned, you don't always have to be the number 1 best team in the league to win the Super Bowl. If you have a team and a coaching staff and a quarterback like Mahomes and people who are capable of getting it done in those tough, gritty situations, you can go far.
Right. I think they're going to show. They were awesome defensively last year. I think this year they're going to get some positive regression from the wide receiver core. You bring in Hollywood Brown. He's not going to play. Doesn't look like he'll play tomorrow, but you get Xavier Worthy. You get another year of Rashee Rice. You get Travis Kelce in theory in 17 games as opposed to 15. Get another year of Isaiah Pacheco. And I think you start piling on the good players in the offense. Then you have number 15, Mr. Kermit. And defensively, I know you don't have L'Jarius Sneed anymore. He's in Tennessee, but you still have Trent McDuffie. He's awesome. You still have Chris Jones. He is even awesomer. That's not a word, but we will pretend it is a word. So
sure,
I don't have any qualms with Kansas City. They're going to win the division again. They're probably going to be the 1 seed. If they're not the 1 seed, they have no qualms going on the road and winning a playoff game. So Chiefs, unfortunately, looks like you're going to win another Super Bowl. And Josh Allen, hey, welcome to. Also, he's the only Josh Allen in the NFL now. Josh Allen changed his name.
He's now Josh Hines Allen. So.
Yes, and Justin Madubuike changed his name to Nandi Madubuike. So we have a new Nandi in the NFL.
Did Robbie Anderson change his name again? Because it feels like he's all the time.
I will look.
It's probably Robbie Chosen right now, but he went
Robbie
back and forth between like Chosen Anderson, Robbie Chosen, whatever it may be. Chosen Anderson, whatever.
So he was born Robbie with a Y, previously known as Robbie with an I-E Anderson, and briefly Chosen Anderson. Now he is Robbie Chosen. So, he's on the Dolphins, by the way.
There you go.
So, I don't know. Okay. How many receiving yards do you think Robbie Anderson has, or Robbie Chosen has?
With the Dolphins?
For his career.
For his career? Not many. Probably under 1,000.
He has 5,000 receiving yards.
5,000. Wow.
5,000. He did have a 1,100-yard season with Carolina.
Shows how much I pay attention.
900. So 600 with the Jets, 900 with the Jets, 750, 1,100, 500 with Carolina, then about 300 with Carolina and Arizona, 126 last year. I got to find some other guys that like ballpark. That can be like a quote unquote trivia segment for us. Over under Robbie Chosen receiving yards. He's at 5,000. And he is on a list. Is it Hall of Fame monitor? He is 357th on the Hall of Fame monitor. So his 5,000 receiving yards. Is he on the list? I don't think he's on the list. Some notable guys around 5,000. Hakeem Nicks, Juju Smith-Schuster, Antoine Randall, 4,500, Percy Harvin, 4,000, Deebo Samuel, 4,100, Devin Hester, Hall of Famer, by the way, 3,300, Brandon Stokely, 5,300, DK Metcalf, 5,300, famous Ram, Flipper Anderson, 5,300, 300 of which came in one game. Lynn Swann, he's in the Hall of Fame, 5,400. Brandon LaFell, 5,400. Known Raven and Ram, Sammy Watkins, 5,400. So there you go. Ted Ginn had 5,700 receiving yards.
Insane.
That James Jones 5,800. AJ Brown's at about 6,000. Stephon Page 6,300. Doug Baldwin 65. DJ Moore 6,500 as well. Saints Michael Thomas, who's suspended, 6,600. It's just a good time remembering some dudes.
Yeah, it is.
Julian Edelman 6,800. All right. World famous Rams receiver Allen Robinson 7,000 yards.
We missed a lot of time too, so I didn't really get a chance to go on the air too much about the Rams 2022 season, the worst title defense in Super Bowl history, and it was brutal. But they were injured left and right, and that's kind of all I can say. Like Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, all those key players go down with injuries. It's like it's gonna be kind of hard to win football games when you're missing that many starters.
Absolutely. So. Do you know how many passing touchdowns the Rams had in 2022?
Not very many. I can't think of too many. 16 total for the whole season. That's not great. But again, Stafford missed like half the year. So
Stafford had 10. Baker had 4. John Wolford had 1. And Bryce Perkins had 1.
I was in the building when John Wolford got his 1, I'm pretty sure. If it came against Arizona, then I was there.
There you go. Good job. The known playoff starting quarterback, John Wolford.
That was such a weird time too, to think about that year and how that panned out, and if how that didn't go as it went, then the Rams would probably still have Jared Goff. Who knows?
Yeah, Jared Goff. The Lions won a playoff game. We didn't mention it.
I didn't mention that. Like I mentioned it briefly when talking about the Rams, but yeah, the Lions winning that game is if it didn't come at the expense of my team, and it didn't come at the rate where like social media was a war zone, basically. Like some of my Rams friends got doxxed because of it. Like it was bad. So
the Lions in fact won 2 playoff games.
They did win 2 playoff games. It's funny enough because I was still rooting for them. I still wanted them to win the NFC Championship because, you know, I as much shit talk as there would have been, I'm not going to root for the 49ers over a wild card game. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah,
it's
fair enough.
As salty as I am, as angry as I am about that outcome, it's a wild card game, and I'm not going to choose the outcome of one wild card game over something that was like a one-time, a long time divisional rivalry that's existed for a very long time. It's really funny to me seeing Niners fans try to be like, "Oh, the Rams, they're not our number 1 rival. Like they're like maybe number 4 for." You do realize how long these teams have been in the division, right?
Who would it be Seattle?
I don't know.
I don't mind the
They're
Seattle
probably
call,
thinking about
but
teams like Philadelphia, I would guess.
I don't know about that one. I can appreciate a good interdivision rivalry, like Bengals Chiefs.
It's just senseless trash talk, though, I think.
But like it hits different when it's in the division, right? You play twice a year, sometimes 3, but that just hits different. So
what are you gonna do? That's how brutal it is in football sometimes. We're gonna end my fantasy draft with, I believe, assuming nobody picks him up, Evan McPherson as our backup kicker. Because I drafted just about everybody else except a kicker on my bench, so I gotta get that sorted out. But
if you still have to draft your fantasy league, here's a deep sleeper for you. If you have an IR slot, draft Keaton Mitchell.
I should have probably looked into that. I don't know if he was taken in this draft or not, but I'd say we got a pretty stacked team. It's a 7-team league, so not very high, but not
7?
Yeah, 7. I know it's weird, but we only had 7 people wanting to join, so made it work.
Okay.
I know it's unusual. I get it. It's kind of absurd,
I can pass judgment over a lot of things. A 7-team. What are we doing?
We didn't have enough interest. Like that's really what it came down to. And the season starts tomorrow, so we didn't really have any time to try and make it work with 6 or 8.
You should have sent me a link.
I should have, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is a tragedy.
Team, though. So
you're gonna have a great week, and you'll be on a bye.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna have like your quarterback score 50 points, and Puka get 50 points, and you're gonna score like 200 points. But you'll see versus bye week. That is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but I'm in 2 leagues this year, so I don't often do 2 leagues, but being in 2 leagues this year will make up for that.
Fair. I think I'm in 6. I'm not in as many as I'm usually am. I'm in, but 3 of them are money leagues. One of them is the dynasty league. One of them is the family league, and then I guess I'm in 2 money leagues, and then I have like a non-money version with the same people.
I've always wanted to try one of those like real, I guess, I don't know what people call it, those fantasy leagues where you just draft like the same team. Like I draft all Rams and then just it goes like that. And like someone else would draft, like you would draft all Ravens.
I did do that. I tried to do it all Ravens, and someone took Lamar 1 pick in front of me in the first round. So I pivoted and drafted all of the Browns. I did not get Odell, unfortunately, but I got all of the Browns besides Odell. Browns defense, Browns kicker, Baker, Chubb, Hunt, Higgins, both tight ends, Jarvis Landry. So they made the playoffs that year. So it was I went like 6-8 or something because it's automatic loss in the bye week. So it was, and sometimes you win the game, but you lose fantasy points wise. So it happens. Maybe next year.
Maybe.
All right. Anything else on the docket?
I think we've kind of run out of topics. We kind of just went over everything that we went over in the sports world. I did have other sports talk listed on here, but we kind of got that out of the way with our top 10 of what we missed. But that's just because we missed so much time. It feels like we had a lot of the big headlines to get over. And I think hopefully now that we're back to doing this on a weekly basis again, assuming that works for you.
Yeah, right, works for me.
Yep. Then we'll definitely be able to get to a lot more current stuff next week. So.
For sure. All right. Yeah. We will hopefully get some graphics up. Week 1 predictions. Maybe some defensive player of the year picks. You didn't give your MVP pick. Are you going to Mahomes?
I guess I'm going to go Mahomes.
Okay.
It's hard. It really is hard to pick anybody else, but my only other answer would be Stafford out of bias. So
yeah,
it wouldn't make too much sense.
Hey, I had the biased Lamar pick and he won the darn thing. So
I drafted Lamar, by the way, in this draft.
Hey, Lamb with the blam. Hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully the Ravens are winning a bunch of football games.
We shall see.
I'm really excited to watch Derrick Henry, by the way. Like he brought me a lot of pain and suffering as a member of the Titans. But please bring pain and suffering to other franchises now, Mr. Henry, sir. Also continuing the legacy of Derek Mason and Steve McNair as Titans legends to come over to the Ravens. So hopefully he wins the Super Bowl, unlike the other two.
We shall see.
We certainly shall see. And we will keep you updated. But one thing that never needs to be updated, folks, Aaron Donald does, in fact, train with knives.
Train with knives. Yep. We're going to wrap it up there. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are really, really excited to be doing this again. And we'll see where it goes. Hopefully we can take it to new heights this time. We'll definitely try and pump out a lot more content.
We will not be taking it to new heights because that is a trademark podcast.
True, it is. That is a trademark podcast, but you get what I mean.
Also, number 62 for the Eagles retired. I'm not saying his name because I'm not the biggest fan of him, and I'm tired of seeing the podcast pop up on my feed. So, and number 87 gives me diseases. Okay, that's enough. Oh my.
Yeah, we'll save Splash's sanity, but yeah, you'll definitely hear.
We get to lose to this stupid. Okay,
you'll definitely be hearing from us a lot more
tomorrow. Soon. Taylor Swift is going to be in the building. I may not even watch the game. I might just take a nap, mute my phone, and go into work.
Anyway,
close us out, Jack.
Yeah, we'll definitely be we'll be back next week for a whole lot more talking about.
Hey, if the Ravens win, I can do a short and be like, yeah.
There you go. Make sure also to give us follows on X, I guess they're calling it now. We're probably still going to be calling it Twitter because that's just how we roll. All the ats are on the bottom of the screen, so be sure to check us out there. And yeah, we'll run it back next week. As always, Aaron Donald trains with knives. We'll see you guys soon. Later.
Peace.